May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. When I first moved to this area back in 2002, I was really excited about all the hiking possibilities. But the first hike I chose, okay, the Southern girl, I thought it was only 10 miles. I did not understand what hiking in the Whites was like at that point yet, but only 10 miles. I mean, I had just come off the trail. I had done a bunch of hiking between leaving my last job and that month between. I'd gone down and done all the Appalachian Trail in northern Georgia and into North Carolina, and I came here 10 miles. But what I wanted to do was to hike our mountain, the Moats. I wanted to go up onto the moat where I knew I could sit and look over my new area, my new parish, and pray, and hold up this place in prayer. Now, when I came back down the mountain, my face might have been glowing, but that's because of the exercise. the surprising exertion that 10 miles in this area was, but I went up on the mountain in order to see. I'm not sure what took him up on a mountain. Whether it was to be able to see an area, whether it was just that solitude to get away, whether it was that ancient belief that there is something sacred about being up on a mountain, that sacred belief that you find in so many different cultures and so many different times, that connection with the divine. But he went up, it says here, to pray. Now, this is a little detail in Luke's telling of the story that doesn't show up in the others. The other Gospels, when they talk about the Transfiguration story, they don't talk about him going up to pray. He just went up on a mountain. The Gospel of Luke continually reminds us of Jesus going to pray. The beginning of the season of Epiphany, on the baptism of Christ, the Gospel of Luke offers us a different image. Now, after all the people had been baptized, and after Jesus had been baptized and was praying, the Spirit descended upon him. It doesn't look like that in the other Gospels. This is so important. Watch for it as we read through Luke. Jesus, that real insistence that Jesus has to continually go and pray. Now you think of all the people in the world that might not have to pray to stay in connection with God, it'd be Jesus. Jesus continually pays attention to that conversation with God that cements and grows and develops that relationship. Doesn't happen without it. If you're married, if all you do is spend your evening sitting together watching a TV, the relationship has a hard time growing. My husband and I have had to really struggle with changing how we do it. And after we had gotten married, our big thing, we would light candles at the dinner table. Even in the middle of the summer when it was still light outside, we would light the candles on the dinner table and mark that time as our sacred conversation time on a daily basis. For a year now, my adult daughter has been living with us, and that sacred space has changed drastically. It is not about Rick's and my relationship. And so we've had to really begin to struggle and realize that, we really miss this. Jim caught me in the liquor store yesterday. I looked at him walking through the door. I thought, good thing I'm not a Baptist and I have to hide that I'm here. But I was picking up something because Rick and I now do cocktail time. It's not a cocktail every day. Sometimes we have the love of some hot teas too. But that time before we get into the kitchen to make dinner, to deal, our time to set aside. And that's so vital to build a relationship, to maintain. Now we've got the table set and the candles lit. But if this is the only setting in which you take time for that relationship with God, then you're missing out on so much. Jesus continually goes to prayer. And so as we're on the cusp of Lent here, as we're preparing, we're already there. It's a short Epiphany this year. As you think about how to shape that special, that time of our lives, that Lenten reminder of that we need to get back to some basics. For me, this is calling me back to the basics of my conversation, my daily conversation with God. If your conversation with God is usually fairly fluid and off the cuff, maybe you might want to challenge yourself with something a little more formal. But I suspect that as Episcopalians, our conversation with God tends to be a little bit more structured. On Sundays, before a meal. What if you challenge yourselves to do sort of, for me, my challenge is to take it sort of like I did when I went up on that mountain so I could see. Be aware of what's in front of you. Driving in somewhere, every time you park your car, pause. Think about where you're going, who's there, what's happening there. Pray for the kids every morning when you pull into the parking lot at school. Pray for the people who are ringing up the groceries and stocking the shelves and bagging your purchases. Or maybe your thing will be to pick up a newspaper and choose one story each day to talk to God about it. I love the first story we have today from, it says that Moses was on the mountain and he talked with God. How vital that is to maintain that relationship. And then you never know what's going to happen. While he was praying, the Spirit descends upon him. While he is praying, Moses and Elijah are there. It is while we are praying that God is able to break in and connect with us and enter into the relationship that God is hungry for. With you and with me. So I've got something I'm going to give up for Lent. But I also have new challenges for myself. Mine own happens to be when I park my car. I've decided that that's my new prayer space. If it's as cold as it was this morning, I might leave the heater running for a few minutes. But take the opportunity to look at the world around us and talk to God about what's going on in your life and in this world. And then don't be surprised when God steps into that welcome, into that relationship. While you are praying, that the Spirit might be present. And your face just might shine in such a way that those around will know that something is happening in your life. And your eyes and your face unveiled will see the world, not from your own eyes, but from the eyes that are connected in relationship. They say that people who really love their dog very often end up looking like, you can see the similarities, or people start looking like, well, guess what? If you start really putting yourself into that relationship with God, you could begin looking like that. And while he was praying, his face changed, his garments became dazzling white, and the glory of God was revealed. And as followers of Christ, we are called to step into that place ourselves. So I challenge you, as you prepare for Lent, to consider seriously your prayer life, your daily talking with God. Light candles if you need to. Brew a cup of tea. Do what you need. Set a time. Be present. Talk with God and listen. Don't be amazed when you find yourself transfigured.